Yep, looks good to me. And reminder everybody, if you've got questions, you can add them to the chat, and I'll pay attention to that and ask them to Professor Jones as we go along.
Great, thank you. Thanks to Teresa. Access Lex is such an amazing resource for the law school, not just for students, but staff pesters them with questions all the time. We're just very lucky to have that resource. And speaking of resources, one of the people on the call is Kathy Kussner, who is our LRAP coordinator. And Kathy is waving. Kathy really is the kind of frontline contact with our students and our graduates who have questions or are working on program issues. And so any of you who are interested in LRAP can always talk to Kathy, and you'll be dealing with her later. So I want to take just 10 minutes or so and give you an overview of our LRAP program, and then I'll be happy to take questions as well. And so our mission is to basically just enable you, if you want to choose a public service or public interest career, to enable you to do that regardless of your law school debt. We want to help you follow your calling and do the work that you think you should be doing. And in the simplest form, we're giving you cash to help you make your monthly loan payments to your servicer. This is entirely separate from the federal programs. So our benefits, any benefits that you get from LRAP, are completely in addition to any benefits that you might get through some of these federal programs, the income-based repayments and public service loan forgiveness. Think of ours as layering on top of that. But you can receive LRAP benefits no matter what kind of repayment plan you choose, whether you're in public service loan forgiveness or not. If you're in qualifying employment, you're going to be able to get assistance from us. And one thing I want to emphasize from the beginning is our program we're really serious about this program. First of all, it's supported by really substantial endowments. So it's endowed, the money is there for perpetuity. This program is not going anywhere, and they're substantial enough that the earnings from those endowments are about $450,000 a year. And that's what we're trying to spend and get out to our graduates in public service and public interest. So, we're very serious about this program. The dean is very supportive, the faculty, our development staff. So we hope to keep growing our endowments and being able to make this program more and more generous over time. And I just want to emphasize that since the program began in 2002, we have never turned an applicant away who met the program eligibility criteria. We're committed to keeping that track record alive. So I just want to give you assurance and confidence that we're going to be there for you if you take this step. Just a few numbers. I mentioned the budget. Last year, or this current year, we have about 86 graduates participating. That's a pretty typical number. Our average participant gets about 5,000, or give or take. Participants get different amounts of benefits that vary, as I'll talk about in a minute, based on their monthly loan payments that are due. But that's our average. And you're eligible for our program for 10 years after you start into qualifying employment and start into the program. So if you get out of law school and do a private sector job or some non-qualifying job and then get into public interest, once you start the clock ticking, you've still got 10 years of eligibility left with our program. So what do we cover? We help you, at least as the program is currently designed, with law school JD loans only. Currently not undergrad or graduate loans, just JD loans. But we cover federal and private loans. Like programs like the Public Service Loan Forgiveness only apply to federally subsidized loans. We'll help you with private loans as well. They're much less common, but some students have those. And what we do is we base our benefits on your actual monthly payments. We're trying to help you make whatever payments you owe to your servicer. And so if you're making a salary of $55,000 or less, we will just cover 100% of your monthly loan payments. If your salary is above $55,000 but below $70,000, we'll cover a portion of your monthly payments. And as your salary goes up, the portion that we cover decreases. We only look at the salary from your primary qualifying job. We don't look at spousal income. We don't look at assets. If you happen to have a second job, we don't look at that. All we're looking at is the salary from your main job that is qualifying you for this program, and we'll adjust your salary downward if you have children, or if you're making undergrad loan payments, we'll deduct whatever payments you make during the year from your salary. Currently, we cap benefits at $15,000 a year for any one participant. Every year, our advisory committee, looks at that and makes a decision. So we do have some people getting $15,000, some people getting $1,000. It depends on what plan you're on and what your monthly payments are. So how does the program work? So first, you got to get a qualifying job or be actively looking, and it's almost all nonprofit or governmental jobs that qualify. There's some very small carve-outs. We have a discussion of that in our program description that's on the website. But essentially, if you have a 501c3 job or a government job with a salary under $70,000, you're very likely to qualify for the program. And what you do is you establish your repayment plan with your loan servicer. So as Dr. Braun has talked about today and yesterday, you graduate, you get together with your servicer, you decide which payment plan you're going to be on, and you establish what your monthly payments are going to be for the following calendar year. We work our program on a calendar year basis. And then on November 1st, you apply for the LRAP program for the following year. And we have an online application that gets some basic information from you about your loans and salary and info, job info, and so forth. And then once we've processed and decided what your benefits are going to be for the following year, we just make direct monthly deposits on the first of the month into your bank account. So you will get this money automatically every month. And then at the end of the year, we ask you to show us a pay stub and a statement from your servicer that just shows us that you stayed in qualifying employment for the whole year, and that whatever funds we gave you, you use those funds to pay to your servicer and help pay down your loans. One thing that can seem puzzling, the benefits that we give you, the funds that we give you are technically loans. We loan you the money to make your monthly payments, and it sounds odd to say we give you loans to help you pay other loans, but we do it in the form of loans because if we gave you a grant, it would be taxable. You'd have to pay income taxes on it. If we give you a loan and you stay in public interest or public service work, you stay in qualifying employment for a full calendar year, we can forgive that loan. And just as Dr. Braun said that, in public service loan forgiveness, at the end of the 10 years, when the federal government forgives your loans, It's not a taxable event. The amount that's forgiven isn't considered income. Same with us. The loans, your forgiven loans are not taxable. So we're just trying to make sure that if we give you money, you can use it all toward your loan repayment and not have to cut a check to Uncle Sam out of that. And all it takes to earn forgiveness is for you to stay for one full calendar year in qualifying employment. And then the money that we've given you for that year, we forgive. And any future benefits that we give you under the program will also be forgiven. So you apply, again, some students find this confusing. You don't apply while you're in law school, you apply after you graduate. You apply on November 1st after you've graduated. And the reason we wait till November 1st is because typically you're going to get a 6-month grace period before your loan repayments start. And you won't know until the fall what repayment terms you're going to have. You won't have gone through that process of setting up your repayment plans and figuring out what your monthly payments are going to be for the next year. So we wait until the end of the year to have you apply and give us that information so that we can process it and be ready to give you benefits the next January. You have to apply again every year, but again, if you've been in the program, if you're in qualifying employment, if you stay in qualifying employment, we're going to take you in the next year. This isn't like a gotcha game to see who we can weed out year after year. It's an administrative step that we take. So you can be comfortable with that. So, the big question, can you rely on LRAP? Can you take a job in public service or public interest before you've applied for LRAP, before you've been approved? And our answer is yes, you can. We've never turned away an applicant who qualifies, meets program criteria. We don't intend to in the future. Anyway, you can feel good about making this choice. And a few qualifiers there, or a few extra considerations are, like, if you're not sure, will my job qualify, just ask us. Just talk to Kathy Kussner, talk to me. We'll tell you, we'll give you an answer so you can be comfortable. Remember that, as Dr. Braun has already talked about, you've got a variety of repayment plans in the federal government. What if you somehow, in some very unlikely scenario, couldn't get LRAP help? You still have ways to make your payments feasible through the federal repayment plans. You can change your plan if your circumstances change over time. So it's not like you have to feel, oh my gosh, I'm putting all my eggs in this basket. And if somehow my LRAP benefits didn't come through, I'd be left high and dry and I wouldn't be able to pay my loans. We want to take away some of that anxiety from you. How do you apply? So I've already mentioned November 1st. We have an online application process. Again, every November 1st, you have to reapply. And we'll tell you and we'll remind you. So by the way, if you're looking, so if you graduate and you're looking, but you haven't got that job lined up by November 1st, you can still apply. You can tell us that you are in good faith looking for qualifying employment. We'll accept your application and we'll wait. We'll give you some time into the next year to land a job firmly, and then we'll help you at that point and calculate your benefits and get them started. And if you want to be sure you don't miss the boat on being notified that applications are due or whatever, you can register on the LRAP webpage. there's a button at the bottom. Click here to receive LRAP notifications. And if you go on there and just put your you just put your name and email address, and we'll make sure that when it's time to submit applications, etc., you'll get an email, you'll get a notice from us. So if you're even thinking a little bit about LRAP, just don't take a chance, go onto the website, click that button, give us your info, and then you can be sure that we'll be communicating with you about what you need to do. Hopefully you can very easily find the LRAP webpage. One of the things on the page is you can click through to a PDF that has a more detailed program description and sort of all the program rules. And that's, again, the page where you click that button and register. So that is what I have to say, but I'm happy to entertain questions, and I'm going to unshare the screen.
Yep, I got a couple that came in, Professor Jones. One of them was whether LRAP will consider partial payments for somebody who makes more than the income requirement but lives in a very expensive area. So do we take into account cost of living?
Currently, we do not. That limit, the $70,000 limit, is the limit everywhere. We've looked at that before. We do get that question from a lot of students. We looked at cost of living adjustments at one point and had a hard time figuring out a feasible way to do that. We may take another look, but for the moment, there are no regional cost of living differences.
Thank you. The other question that I got was whether legal academia qualifies as a qualifying employer.
My law professor's answer is it depends. I said virtually any 501c3. So the purpose of the program is to support people doing public interest work for low-income people, marginalized populations, general public service. The LRAP Advisory Committee, the program is overseen by a faculty committee. And the committee's view has been that there are some nonprofit institutions that are almost more like big businesses. And an example is a university or a hospital. So if you were in legal academia and you were running a legal aid clinic at a law school, yep, I think the committee would say, yeah, that counts because it meets our purposes. If you're just a general faculty member at a law school, I think the committee would say, probably not. So they look within the really big 501c3 entities. The committee wants to look at what you're doing and does your particular job meet the program purposes and mission.
Thank you. That was all the questions that I saw come in on the chat. Does anybody else have questions about specifics of the LRAP program for Professor Jones?
We are always here. Kathy and I are always available. So come see us or email us or talk to us anytime.
Okay, so I just want to emphasize then, so exactly what Professor Jones just said, if you do have any questions at any point, whether it's now or after you graduate, you can talk to Kathy Kustner or Professor Jones about LRAP. Teresa is also still on our call and she's available for questions now or for a one-on-one appointments with you. If you have a specific question about your specific situation about public service loan forgiveness or anything else, you can make an individual appointment with Teresa to talk through that as well. I think we had one more question come in from Jessica. Do you want to unmute yourself, Jessica, and ask the question?
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
Professor Jones, what if you are actively looking for employment at that November 1st deadline, and then you get hired at some point after that, but you're over the income threshold, like would you qualify and receive money up until that point? Would you need to pay Notre Dame back for like that 6 months that you were over the income threshold? How would that work?
Yeah, we're not going to start your benefits payments until you actually have a job and demonstrate that you meet the eligibility for the program. So,
Okay.
so in that case, we wouldn't have started the benefits, but one thing that we do is we try to compensate everybody, give people benefits on a 12-month basis. So if you got that job and started it in March, let's say, we would start your benefits in March, but we'd catch you up. We'd help you with January and February payments as well. So we'll help you retroactively, but we won't help you prospectively on the hope that you're going to end up qualifying.
Got it. Thank you very much.
All right. Do we have any other questions while we have Professor Jones and Dr. Braun still on here? And just a reminder, we have additional programs the rest of this week, right? Tomorrow's program, I think, is our one on credit. So knowing how your credit report can affect things like your bar admission is a really important thing. So tune in tomorrow for our next program for Financial Wellness Week. Any other questions? Okay, then I'm going to stop our recording here and we'll say thank you very much for everybody for joining us today.